Hello, everybody. Happy August 20th, 2025. Kids are back in school. Summer is nearing an end. We got some updates for you here. And also going to good discussion here about some ways to customers cut costs, and this will only boost your customer loyalty. Everybody wants to do that, and we are going to show it. And this gives us about 10 more seconds for some more people to pile into the room, and we'll get rolling. Second. There we are. Okay. Well, hello, everybody. This is Scott Ebeling here, Head of Energy Strategy and Client Solutions at Box. And with me today, as always, is Allie Black, our manager of the Pricing and Strategic Solutions team, and also a newly certified energy procurement specialist. I'll let Allie take it away here from here, and she can tell you what that all means and what it means for you. Take it away, Allie.
Awesome, thank you guys. On the agenda for today, we've got a little bit about us and about Box. Then we've got Scott with a market update. And then I will be coming to you guys with some solutions to cut cost and boost customer loyalty, all stuff that's going to be really complementary to the product that you're already selling, supply, and great ways to have conversations with your customers and just make them a little bit more sticky, show and establish yourself as an energy professional for them. On establishing yourself as an energy professional, like Scott mentioned, I recently completed an AEE certification course, and I just got my certification letter emailed to me this morning. So we now have a certified energy procurement specialist on staff. It's me. Scott is also a certified commodities trader, and so we are bringing the certifications, we're bringing the knowledge, we are continuing our education here at Box so that we can continue to add tools to our toolbox to help you guys and to bring better solutions to your customers. So that really truly is our commitment to you. We're here to help. We'll go over all of that a little bit at the end as well. In the meantime, about Box, if you guys don't know us already, Box, or Broker Online Exchange, is your ultimate commercial energy brokering partner. We provide independent energy brokers and affiliates and advisors with access to all top electricity and natural gas suppliers, instant pricing, and cutting-edge software, all supported by industry experts. Box has become the largest network of energy agents, brokers, and consulting firms in North America, and we've really doubled down on that with our relationship, with our acquisition by ActDirect. We're so excited to have joined that family, and that has really just blown out our network. So this that we have been saying, biggest, largest source and network of ABCs on the energy side. Basically, we just doubled and tripled that. So we're super excited to connect a variety of diverse energy partners and advisors, so each can benefit from streamlined, efficient options in deregulated gas and electricity markets. And you can see how you can scale your energy business nationally with this map. We have natural gas options available in green, natural gas and power available in blue, and then we have a healthy amount of the Midwest and the West, a little bit of the South, that is that gray stripe through color. Those are going to be limited markets. That's going to be generally large commercial and natural gas customers only. If you guys have questions about those markets, whether we can source suppliers, whether a customer qualifies for procurement services, those types of things, don't hesitate. Reach out to us, reach out to your account manager. We're happy to take a look at those opportunities. The worst thing we can say is no. we could be able to source suppliers in some of those odd areas, thanks in large part to our vetted supplier network, which you'll see on this slide here. We've got several big name suppliers like Dynegy, TXU, NG, NRG, everybody who's been doing great work for us over the years. And we also partner with some more niche suppliers that kind of lend their expertise in those more niche markets, whether it's a large commercial natural gas market only, or whether there's a particular product that a supplier has put forth that we think is a good pairing for a large commercial, a large manufacturing customer or a commercial real estate customer, just depending on what they've got going on. So our vetted supplier network is one of our biggest assets. We are really grateful for all of our relationships throughout the industry, and happy to put them to work for you guys. The other thing that we want to introduce is just our strategic solutions team that is headed up by Scott and myself, and our pricing desk, Trevor and Seth. So we provide tailored sales strategies, data-driven insights, pricing optimizations, reverse auction, contract negotiation, and seamless client support and proactive solutions. We are here for you guys to lean on us. The whole, our goal in growing Box and with some of the efforts and the initiatives that we've been putting forth is so that you guys as energy brokers and as energy consultants, as advisors, have more and better options to bring to your customers. We want you guys to look like absolute rock stars whenever you guys are standing in front of your customers. We want you guys to have data. We want you guys to have strategy, a plan. We want you guys to be coming at your customers and saying, okay, regardless of what pain point you give me, I probably know whether it's a paired supplier, a product, another service that I've got, that I've got in my repertoire, then we want you guys to be able to solve customer problems and to be able to generate revenue more than one way from your customer. Again, we'll go through a little bit of that at the end, and we've got some really exciting things coming. So keep up with us, keep up with our marketing. If you guys are not on our mailing lists or not following our social media, I definitely invite you guys to do that. We're going to be growing a lot, but we currently have a ton to offer independent agents and advisors. And if you guys want to come and have a conversation and kind of nerd out with me and Scott, we really like to do that too. So if you guys are looking for a little bit self-education, things like that, don't hesitate. Reach out to us. Reach out to your account managers. We're here for you guys. And on the subject of continued education, I will pass it back to Scott for our market update. Tell us the latest.
All right, well, thank you, Allie. And again, congratulations on your certification. Yes, we have, this is American, she said AEE, that's American Engineering. What is it called? The American Engineering Institute, whatever the, and this is extensive stuff. This is really important, and for you guys to leverage, and that's the important thing. When you're working with some of these larger customers, you can say you have the backing of certified procurement specialists behind you. Not many firms can say that. So we'll move on here with our market update. Ellie will be back in a second. I'm going to start right out the gate here with PGM capacity, and this is a piece we put out there. This is totally available to all you guys to take a look at and hand out to your customers. We've heard there's some big success in utilizing this piece in prospecting to get a conversation started. And one of the things I always like to say is, pricing is pricing. Pricing is all the same. It's out there, all that. But to give actual advice, and when you're contracting and understanding what's included in the contract and in the price, this is important. That's how you're going to deliver value to your customers. And what we got by this piece here, what we want to talk about here is there's a lot of games taking place. It always has been, but especially right now with PGM capacity. Yes, we know what the auction price is, and with that capacity price, which is now comprising of $20 to $30 a megawatt hour for the customers. We know what that price is now. We're to the end of next year, or I'm sorry, until now we know it now until May of 2027. There's a lot of customers beginning contracting well past those dates. And for that, we have no idea where it's going to come in. We do know the range. Maybe 177, 329, or somewhere in between. There's a floor and a cap, just like we were this year. Beyond that, we don't know. Just be higher or lower. What we are noticing, and we've always noticed, is there's what this price is for those unknown periods. Suppliers can put anything into a fixed price on a matrix, all this stuff of what that is. It's very important to understand what that is. We actually are compiling a list here. And we just, I'm not gonna call out people. I'll call out suppliers or our partners. But I will when they bring them on to the contracting. That there's some people, quite a bit, are putting this 177 in for those periods. What does that mean? What does that mean for the customer? Well, if the price comes at 329 and starting in June of 27, you're going to see a significant increase in your capacity costs. We're talking $10+ adjustment. And that's going to be hard. Hopefully everybody understands it. I mean, so when you see a price that's $5 lower, but they may have this 177 while somebody else is pricing at 329, that price is actually $5 higher. This is a different way to print the price. This is, again, where you can bring value to the customer. I'm not going to beat this dead horse. If you have any questions on this, feel free to contact the pricing desk or myself. We'll walk you through this. This is the slide here that's available, everybody. It's going to be this the PDF is out there, by the way. Let everybody know it's on, if you want. But we have a one pager on this as well. So I'm going to keep going on here. And next thing I want to talk about, big thing, is weather. This is the 8th to 4th. This is till basically Labor Day. Below normal temps in major population areas. This is perfect weather right here. I mean, we're going to have triple-digit, possibly triple-digit injections again here shortly, and that's quite bearish. And we're seeing that in the front month prices and the 2 handle on it right now, down to 270, 280 area. But that's the big development. So now we'll go into the energy price update. This is from the end of last week, so now we're in the middle of this week, but we're seeing more pricing pressure coming down. We can see the big thing in the monthly change, big movements down in Mid-Atlantic, Midwest, New York. Texas is still just hanging in there. And we'll talk about that in a second. Yeah, just some price changes here. 2026 RAS now 384. The whole curves are out there. You see here now. All these curves are under $4. That's supposedly the price of break even or will drill. They are drilling, but they're not necessarily, they're drilling, and we'll get to that slide here in a second as well. Doesn't necessarily mean they're producing from there. They're just drilling wells, hopefully for the future periods when they now, but you see this gas is screaming by here. I can't say it enough. Where 250 was the absolute floor before, now we're thinking it's this 350 area. We are kind of there. This is taking some, definitely, it's all risk from here. There's no real trade. We call this, if we're going to buy this, an asymmetric trade. I'd be covering a short position, but the buy around here is almost like an asymmetric trade where there's very little risk and much more upside. So yeah, keep an eye on that. Now, PJM Power. Little different story here. Not as much movement down. We're not near lows. We've had some good LMP pricing. We think this is relatively fairly priced here at these curve levels. We could see a little bit more downwards, $1 or $2. We called this out midsummer about a month and a half ago. We have had that down movement of definitely in 26 of about $3 or $4 and about a buck and a half in 27, 28. Could potentially squeeze out another 50 cents at $1.50, but we're kind of there. By the way, 10 of the 15 last 15 years, 10 of the 15 years, the low for here in the remaining of the year was in August. So the Q3, Q4 low. So be cognizant of that. It was in August. That's why we really mark on our calendars for these people that layered hedges to do hedges by the time Labor Day hits or mid-September. Here we are, PJM West historical monthly index price. Yes, we had some really good pricing there in July. August has started coming off again here now, or down. We had a hot beginning of the month, and this is probably clear around 36 again. So average price 42.93 to 3-year average. Granted, that's a different gas price. You see power prices about 52. Gas prices during this 3-year period were lower. And so lower than what the curve is by about 25, 50 cents. So that's from 54 to 50, 60, about $4 or $5 in power. Just where I say it's relatively fairly priced. Different story in ERCOT. Here's ERCOT. ERCOT is come off from where it was at beginning of the summer, but still highly priced here. This is the ATC curves, mid 50s, but then bam, look at this. This is, yes, we had that August 23 winter storm Uri's off the charts here, but from back in that February period. Now we're averaging 42.35. He did a 2-year average here just to be about 34, $35 a megawatt hour. Yet pricing is where it's at. Whoops, we'll go back to this slide. Here's pricing. All the curves are in the 50s, but LMPs are clearing here, and really just significant amount. Great job with ERCOT. I say it all the time. ERCOT's done a great job with their grid management. And bringing on a lot of good solar mix, good gas mix. I got actually there's a guest slide of the month that guest chart of the month. I'm going to show you a little bit more of that mix, and now battery coming on. It's really kind of a demand response programs has really taken the bang out of the pricing here, so eventually these things. What I think here is there's a lot of hedge funds that have gone long all these power markets without really looking truly at the fundamentals of it all. I'm a big believer that with the power markets that they're not going to bring on generation or they're not going to bring on load and allow interconnection of these large loads unless there's more interconnection of power. So that's going to keep there and keep a reserve margin. I don't think pricing is going to have fireworks, but again, going back to it, and Allie's going to talk to it here in a few minutes. It's covering that demand side of it. Demand side of it, those are the prices. That's these demand-based charges. That's where the big increase are going to come at, and you can take control of it with your customers. So we'll get there in a minute, second. Natural gas storage. Here we are. We are going to tear right up there, get up there for. It's pretty much no doubt here. We're going to get up there unless there's some major winter storm or some 90+ degree summer weather for a week or two in the middle of September in the East Coast. But we're marching right towards that core area. This chart is going to probably show us by next month we'll be between that purple and the green, or between 24 and 20 for the highs, and then we're going to be kind of clear right there. So that's that. Rig count. Boom, bam. This is really crazy how much this has gone up. 122. Although we haven't seen a huge increase in production, usually a 6-month lag. I think they're preparing for the LNG coming on and understanding they're going to need to have new production. So they're front running this. Yes, you drill rigs and you can cap them, and that's inventory, and they can just cap them and production starts flowing relatively soon. So we're seeing this rig count all over the place, and this is good to see. Good healthy sign for the market. Natural gas production, yeah, it's relatively stable. This is going to start creeping up though. I think we're going to start seeing 107, 108 area here for the latter part of the month. So we'll probably top over 107 for this month. So again, just kind of stagnant, but increasing production, keeping relatively stable with where the market's at, and what's expected to come up for the winter. Natural gas demand growth by 2030. Just want to show this slide again. This is just kind of showing here where we low, medium, high scenarios. No matter what, we're going to have a huge increase in natural gas demand here. Yeah, this is an important slide here to show customers that this is where it's at. And like I said, the power side earlier, talking about the pricing. What I think is going to move the pricing more on the power is if gas goes higher. But as far as the power fundamentals go, and supply demand, that's going to be kind of metal in the ground to cover a new load coming on. That's going to kind of cover it as it goes along. Now, no slide here. This is important. I just want to remind everybody. There's still some people, stuck in 206 here when Katrina came along. By the way, there's some good Netflix special on that, by the way. Really interesting to watch. The power demand, it's more demand destruction by far when these hurricanes hit. There is now really less than 2% of output comes from, these rigs in the Gulf. And really, we expect it to be around a, 1.5 kind of supply destruction if all those rigs have to shut down. And that'd be really the Florida to Texas border sort of thing. So what we see here though is no matter where it hits, if it hits the Florida coast on the Atlantic side, we're expecting around a 2.3 BCF a day. And this is not a Cat 1, this is one that does some destruction. 2.3 BCF a day demand destruction. So if it's, kind of 5-6 days out, that's gonna be on a 15-day, 15 BCF of demand taken off. Florida Texas border, we're talking, 9.6 BCF a day, maybe taking our 1.5 BCF a day of some supply destruction potentially, 9 BCF, a week of that, that's 60 BCF total for one hurricane hitting there, and similar out in Texas. So this is important. Again, this is to show customers when, because I see this, like some of the stuff we'll hear from them or they'll hear from somebody else that, oh, this hurricane's coming. I'll see it on the Weather Channel. Like, we need to, gas is going up. And sometimes there's still a knee-jerk reaction sometimes where it goes up. It's pretty funny. And this is time to educate your customers and just let them know, hey, by the way, actually, let me show you this piece here. We actually think there's demand. We think there's demand destruction. I'm like, wow, let's think outside the box. We really don't. Anyways, let's go on to this here. So some additional market insights. Surging power, data center demand, ignite new era of natural gas growth. Yeah, it was a EQT, which is a huge producer out in Marshall's, and Homer City, a plant. There's a plant there, Homer City, that was a coal plant. It converted to a gas plant and amp it up. And then Vernova, which is GE's natural gas, and they all kind of teamed up. They're building this load out with I forget which big AI partner it is, and they're building this load at this plant, and some behind the meter generation, and it's gonna be like 4 gigawatts. And but more importantly, again, for the gas side, 1.4 BCF a day of extra gas demand just for this power generation. So that's significant. That's 500, half a TCF, 500 BCF of gas demand right there a year. So that's pretty cool. ERCOT solar surges 5x since 2020. Now meets 25% midday load. This is, again, this is during these midday hours, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Solar supply is now just over 1/4 of total system load. And then, pair it with the grid scale batteries. This is really adding to grid stability. One quick fact here is that period of time between like 10 a.m. and 7 p.m. If there's anybody looking for a PPA and they're saying, hey, I want, or they want to build solar behind the meter, and they get that and they hear it from somebody that's like, oh, we can do this for $50, and like, oh, well, my power costs 60. Those are financial contracts in a way almost, and you just get to settle against the real-time LMP, which is very low during those periods. In fact, we have a supplier out there who will give us that same pretty much mimic the PPA and sell you the same power for $31. So if they're looking at it as a savings thing, just tell them we can buy that power for you for $31, even cheaper than the PPA. So it's important to have these discussions with your customers. We rarely ever see where a putting solar up is a economic good choice as far as economics go. It has to be more sustainability issues and reasons, and we applaud those here at Box, and we'll work with you on them as well for sure. But if it's economics behind it, that's not true. I mean, there's some trickery that goes on when these PPAs come out. So we've talked about it before. But there's some trickery that goes onto it. Assumptions that are made. We review these all the time, send them our way. We can help you out with your customer. PGM grid maxed out. No spare capacity for new data centers, says Watchdog. They want a available capacity, assigning surging load, like so really they're saying is, if you want some load, you got to bring some generation on. And New York draft energy plan delays climate target. Yeah, they had a climate target 2030 to hit some levels of greenhouse gas reduction and new kind of renewable levels. They delayed those to 2036 now, and I'll bet you anybody here, I'll bet you it's going to be delayed again. So we'll talk about that. And here's the guest chart of the month. This is from GridStats, great service. There's a link to it in our tools and resources page, by the way. We get real-time data and kind of get all this stuff. It's a great resource to look at, and it's relatively free. So, but this is a snapshot from 2 days ago when it was near 100 degrees here in ERCOT. And this is kind of starts at the beginning of the day, ends at the end of the day. You see down there 6 a.m., 12 p.m., 6 p.m. And you can see, hey, when the solar comes on, how actually the need for fossil fuels, natural gas and stuff goes down, and that goes as prices. So because solar is free. Once it's running, it's free. There's no variable cost. So and it goes, and then bam, here's these power storage of batteries come online right around 6 p.m. That's when the gas surges as well and hits its peak. So, what's setting the pricing, of course, is the gas. And the gas units, the marginal gas units are hitting up there, the lower heat rate ones. Those are ramping up around 7 o'clock at night. And that's where you're having the highest LMP hour. I can show you a flip chart of this that will show you these LMPs. It'll be like 20s, 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 6 o'clock, you'll be around 80. This is just for a hottest day, 80, 7 o'clock, 200, 8 o'clock, it'll be like $300-400, and then it'll start going down, price will start coming back down to the 30s right again. So again, going back to it, if you have solar behind the meter, when it's at $300-400 hour, that's you're not getting that in the solar side of it. You gotta take care of that yourself and buy it. So that's that. Long-winded there. Okay, Allie. I'm sorry. One more thing here. Gaining competitive edge. We got charts. Just to let you guys know, we got really good research team here. A good time. Good job with our whole staff takes part in this. We got natural gas. We got these charts here that come out once a week of all these historical curves. We just saw gas and PGM and ERCOT. We have multiple other curves in here. We have a weekly report that comes out, a weekly market update. It has these insights, 4 or 5 of these insights, some other interesting charts, same ones you see here. We send it out to pretty much everybody. If you're not getting it, let us know. And then occasionally we have, like once a month or so, I have another kind of special report thing as well. In the meantime, we can do much more in-depth research. If you have a pretty large customer come through our desk, we can really dig in deeper and present some specialized stuff to them. So with that, I'll let Allie now take it away. Thanks, Allie.
Awesome, great market update. Thank you, Scott. Want to go through for our feature for today, want to go through some really complementary solutions to the product that you guys are already selling a customer's electricity or natural gas supply contract. So anybody who has tried to cold call before or tried to go door to door probably knows that if you go in and you ask, hey, how much is your electricity bill? Can I save you some money? Your customer, your prospect may or may not be super interested. Deregulated energy markets have matured over the last two and a half decades. And so being in deregulated markets, you can't necessarily educate your customer on their shopping options. They know that they have shopping options, and they may have seen a fair amount of the brands that you represent. So what are some other ways that you can start this conversation? And importantly, what are some ways that you can really materially influence the customer's bill prior to even switching their supplier, should you have to. One of the ways that we can do that is with load shifting and peak demand shaving. Now, we've talked about demand response on this webinar, and we will talk about it again as kind of a follow-up to these strategies. We've actually done an entire webinar on the demand response feature. So if you missed that, go to our YouTube channel. Really encourage you guys to check it out. But this is something that we really haven't talked about with respect to smaller customers and medium customers. And while load shifting and peak shaving may be old news, it's something that is more and more relevant to our current world. Like Scott was saying, a lot of these price increases, whether particularly on the utility side and the grid operation side, those capacity charges, those transmission charges, all of that is demand-based billing. That means it doesn't necessarily have to do with your per kilowatt hour cost. It doesn't necessarily have to do with your consumption. It has to do with your demand. Now, your customer's demand is basically it's a different measurement. It's watt rather than watt hour. And essentially what that is the maximum amount of power that your customer is looking to pull from the grid at one single time. That is going to be their demand peak to power, to power everything that they have behind their meters. Utilities have to build, their grids, and generation producers have to build out assets to meet maximum demand, the absolute max, and really truly then some, because we want to have reserve margins as well, just in case things happen and we happen to go over that max. But what happens then is if you build for everybody's max, you've got customers that are going to be overpaying for their energy because they are not always going to be using the maximum amount of energy that is available to them. They're actually very rarely going to use the maximum amount of energy that's available to them. And so ways that you can help the customers really take that cost down is by paying attention to that demand number and to that watt figure. Two ways that you can bring that down are essentially, it's kind of very much similar, two sides of the same coin here. Peak load shaving or load shifting. So on the, I think on the right or on the left chart here, we have load shifting. And basically all that is saying, you know what, rather than running all of my equipment in the middle of the day or during times of peak demand stress, like Scott was talking about, that's usually closer to the 6, 7 p.m. hours in ERCOT now. Why don't I take some of my production offline? Why don't I take all of my lights off? Why don't I stop cooling for, X amount, for an hour, so that I can bring my demand down? Most grid operators have times where they are making these, measurements. And yes, it's definitely good to follow those and to look at where the entire grid is under strain, because that may mean that the utility takes the demand measurement then. But this is a good practice just to be aware of your demand, because so much of your billing has to do with it. So if there's ways that you can move your peaks, your spikes, ways that you can maybe run half of your equipment at one time and then half at the other, or half, earlier in the day. Let's see if we can run our air conditioning really early in the day, and maybe we can cut down on some of those afternoon hours if we cool preemptively. That's an example of load shifting. Peak demand shaving is really just taking that consumption offline, and it does reduce your overall consumption because you're simply taking consumption offline during periods of where you would usually be maxing out your demand, or when the system is maxing out its demand. So these are two really good things to talk with your customers about. Talk to your customers about reducing their demand in general. That is going to bring down their capacity tag, their transmission tag, which materially impacts their per kWh cost that they can get from a retailer. And it's going to influence some utility costs and sides of the bill as well that are going to be coming up. So this is something that can really help your customers. It's not as quantifiable necessarily, and it's not going to be as fast moving as switching a supply contract, but it is something that will help bring their overall costs down, as we said, materially. Now, if your customer is able to curtail, if they have a very flexible load, like we've talked about some demand response. This is when the grid is undergoing stress because of supply shortages, and they say, hey, we're going to have to start shedding load if customers do not voluntarily curtail. And shedding load means brownouts. That means people lose power that cannot afford to lose power. So these are basically emergency programs where customers are financially compensated very well to curtail their demand or to curtail their production so that some of that generation that they would usually be taking up gets sent back out onto the grid wherever it needs to go. As these figures state, 10% of power plants are built to meet peak demand that occurs less than 1% of the time. And so demand response programs and demand side management really helps the utilities to balance everything and results in a lower cost for your customer. With demand response programs, should you enroll in one, not only will your customer potentially see lower capacity tags, transmission tags, and some of those lower utility demand-based costs, but they will also actually be financially compensated by the system operator, whether that's ERCOT or PJM, to participate in these programs. So they will actually get cut a check at the end of the season if an event is called and if they are able to curtail at that time. This is really a great solution to inspire customer loyalty, just to make sure that customers stay sticky with you. Customers love to get a check at the end of a period, so it's something where we can really give back. And again, these are all great conversations to have with your customer that have nothing to do with who their current supplier is or when their contract is up, or if their current rate is going to be higher than the utility rate. All of those are all great conversations, and we encourage you to have those conversations. But this is also a great way to start talking with your customers about reducing their cost. And this is a great way to have that conversation without necessarily having to get into the procurement conversation. Let's see if we can produce some results. Let's see if we can establish ourselves as an energy expert who can really help our customer. Customers are happy to hand over information if you have already proven yourself useful and proven that you've got more than just a supply contract to sell them. On that note, as far as other complementary sales and services, we are very excited about our next webinar and webinars to come. We're going to start promoting and talking about some of our energy efficiency and plug-and-play solutions. That's going to be power factor correction with capacitors, banks, and then some. It's going to be energy harmonics optimization, getting all of the heat and noise via a plug-and-play solution. And then we also have a water efficiency solution that comes with some guaranteed savings. So these are really, really exciting offerings. There are things that, again, pair really well and complement an energy supply contract really, really well. But there are ways to open the doors. There are ways to show your customers, hey, yes, we can save you some money. If not on the actual supply rate itself, then let's look at these demand charges. Let's look at your overall energy efficiency, and let's see if we can move the needle in those respects. So really super excited about these solutions. I don't know if we'll be going over all of these at the next webinar or if we'll kind of space them out throughout the end of the year, but we are going to start talking about these power offerings, or these offerings that we're able to offer either through partnerships or with our new brother and sister and parent companies via AppDirect. So super excited about these. Please tune in to coming webinars. And if you guys are interested in these solutions, it's never too soon. Like Benji likes to say, start before you're ready. So if you guys are interested in some of this, if you guys want to start looking at some marketing material so that you guys can prep for some of these conversations, please reach out to us. We're happy to help. And again, Scott and I are happy to nerd out about any of this, whether it's market stuff or energy efficiency, demand side management, or supplier selection and product design. Whatever it is, we're here for you. So that's all I got. Scott, you have anything to add on the solutions or any of it?
Nothing really to add. I just wanted to say on demand response, it's not, you get paid not necessarily to cut your load, but for the ability to prove that you have the ability to cut your load. So if there's no events called, you still get paid the same amount. So you just have to be able to say, yeah, you basically give an option to the grid to say, hey, I need you to cut your load because we need to cut down the stress, and you can like, sure, I'll go do that. I agree to do it. You're paying me for that, right? So yeah, I'll go ahead and do it. That's pretty much what it is. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you are going to get called or that's how you get paid, only if there is events. There's been many years where, although I will say that it's probably going to happen more frequently, there's been many years where, there's been no events or maybe one event, and you still got paid the same amount as if there was 5 or 6. So, and lastly on this, we are very excited. Next month we are going to have on, I think we're bringing on Andy Potts from Apteract, who's kind of an expert in these kind of different things here, and it's a different way to really, one, make money, but also add that trust to your customers and show them another thing. Because I'll tell you, customers love to save money. They love to optimize their costs. We can't always show some money savings in our business because prices kind of go up maybe from the last time they signed. But we are still bringing value, of course. But these are some solutions here. We can definitely show them right away some money savings and continue to build trust. So I really advise you all to join this call next month and spread the word. And lastly, just want to say, hey, we're here to serve you. We are always, as always, wherever we can to help out. Our goal is to make you all look like rock stars and top-notch, the best in industry consultants out there. So any feedback you have, anything we can improve upon, let us know. But utilize these services. These services do not cost you extra. They're all part of the package. So be the best you can. And we'll talk to you guys next month. Enjoy the remaining part of the summer. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.